All right, welcome back. And if you're new here, just welcome. Today, I'm going to kick off this video series by diving into what Kinstretch is and answering all your questions about it. And I'm going to try and do so by the time I finish this coffee. We'll see if I succeed or if I end up having 6 of these by the end of this video. I'm a physical therapist. I've been a physical therapist for about a decade now. And honestly, one of the best decisions I ever made for my career and for my body and for my clients' bodies was going and getting trained in Kinstretch and becoming a mobility specialist. Because Kinstretch has helped me so much with my own body and my clients so much with theirs, and has helped me help thousands of people around the world through my online Kinstretch platform, Operation Human First, I went as far as actually slinging on the tool belt and building a Kinstretch studio within my clinic so that I'd have a space to not only help my local people, but also get videos to you guys in my online community to further help you guys understand Kinstretch and use Kinstretch to improve your own body. All that's to say, Kinstretch is very easy for me to talk about and I enjoy talking about it. So by the end of this video and this video series, I'm going to answer your questions about Kinstretch, tell you what Kinstretch is, why it matters, how it works, and so on. So when people hear the name Kinstretch, they often think stretching or yoga, which is totally justified. Stretch is literally in the name Kinstretch. So I get it. With that being said, it's actually very different than yoga, and it's much more than just stretching. Because so many people have come to my local classes hearing Kinstretch, thinking yoga, expecting a yoga class, and then going, whoa, this is very different. I've actually made a whole video discussing Kinstretch and yoga, some of the similarities, some of the differences to help you understand. So I'm going to put that in the description below so you guys can go watch that video after this one if you think that would be helpful for you. But like I said, they're very different practices. Now circling back to stretching, yes, in Kinstretch we do stretch, but we do so much more than that. And it's the stuff that is so much more than that that makes Kinstretch not only unique, but also insanely effective. So Kinstretch by definition is a movement enhancement system or practice designed to help you improve flexibility, mobility, body control, and usable ranges of motion. So let's take all the sciencey words out of it. Kinstretch is just a movement practice that you do with your body. So it's something you do with your body that helps you improve your range of motion, your flexibility, your mobility, your strength, your resiliency, and your body control. So how well you can control your body and move your body in space. So when most people hear Kinstretch, they think, oh, well, that's something I do to make myself more bendy. And yeah, it's great at that, but that's actually not the main purpose of it, nor is it something that we're really trying to push with Kinstretch. So for example, while Kinstretch, or one of the benefits of Kinstretch, is absolutely to create more range of motion, more flexibility, improve how far your body is willing to move, it also takes those ranges of motion and tries to backfill those ranges of motion with strength and resiliency and tissue capacity and body control, which means that we're not just interested in making you more bendy. If I'm gonna make you more bendy with Kinstretch, I wanna make sure that whatever positions I give your body access to through Kinstretch is backfilled with as much strength and body control as we can in this practice. So that means that we're gonna get you strong in those ranges. When we're done stretching and doing the thing that everybody thinks of with Kinstretch, immediately after that, we're gonna start training you in those ranges of motion. So meatheads like me love Kinstretch because it doesn't feel like you're just sitting there stretching. It feels like you're getting a workout in. And one of the benefits of that is that your body interprets a range of motion as much more important if you're actually training it and teaching your body how to be strong in those positions and to control them really well. So rather than just making you more bendy, when we backfill those ranges of motion with strength and control, your body's much more likely to maintain it over time, which is one of the other reasons that Kinstretch is such a valuable tool. Oh, we're losing foam. You're probably wondering what Kinstretch actually looks like. Usually it's done in a class format, so it's usually a group class thing. You might go to a local studio like the one in my clinic and go attend a Kinstretch class in person, or you might see them done online, just like the ones in my online platform, Operation Human First, where you just sign up and then you go do the online class. Either way, it's usually done in a class setting. And when you do those classes, usually it's focused on a particular joint or multiple joints. So when you attend a Kinstretch class, it might be a hip class or a spine class. And that's not to say that they're all like that. Sometimes they're more movement focused, but in a very general sense, you'll see them often run that way. So when you start a Kinstretch class, it's often going to start with things like CARS, which stands for controlled articular rotations. If you don't know what that is, don't sweat it. Again, I have a whole video dedicated to that and taking a deep dive into it. I will link that in the description down below for you as well, so that again, you can go watch that after this one if you're interested. Now, the nice thing about CARS, and the reason that we often insert those at the beginning of the classes, is because It's a joint focused exercise. So we might do, if we're doing a hip class, a hip car. And when you do your hip car, it's gonna wake up every single muscle around your hip, as well as really biasing or targeting the deep connective tissue in your hip, things like your hip capsule, which are often things that are left untrained in traditional training systems or classes and so on. So we really zero in on the joint and we go to the deepest level of the joint and we start waking all that stuff up, as well as the more superficial stuff like your muscles and so on, and not just a particular muscle, but all the muscles. So we really start waking up that joint at the start of class. And CARs are a really effective tool for that. But they're also a really effective tool for self-assessment, which is another unique feature of Kinstretch. So while you're doing your CARs, you're actually learning about your hip and you're kind of scanning your own hip joint and finding any problematic areas, finding any really restricted or limited areas, and finding any areas that you might have pain. Your instructor will often walk you through how to know what sensations are okay and which ones you should move through, which ones are not okay, and which ones you shouldn't move through. And if you're watching this and you're going, oh no, how do I know? I want to know right now. Again, I have another video on that. I will link that in the description. I'm also going to put all of this in a video series for you. Don't worry. But that self-assessment feature of Kinstretch, where we really teach you how to assess your joints and start to scan for those types of sensations or flags, whether it's a green flag or a red one and so on, is like I said, one of the unique features of Kinstretch in particular, and it's a really valuable practice to have for your body, where you have the ability to kind of map out all of your joints and tell, okay, which joints are working really well, which ones aren't working so well, which ones do I have kind of those little red flags popping up that might need attention. And then Kinstretch also works towards or helps to give you some tools to start to address those red flags, or at least help teach you if it's something you can address yourself. We can guide you through how you can find somebody that can actually help assess you in person and take a deep dive into what might be going on with your joint. So it's a really good screening tool as well. Now let's say you've joined your class, whether it's in person or online, you've done CARs or something to help kind of warm up the joint that you're going to be working in that class. The next move in the class, or what we often progress into, is putting you guys in a stretch. And here's where the stretch part actually comes in. So let's say you're doing a hip class. We might put you in a stretch for your hip. And we're often going to target a particular range of motion. So your hip does internal rotation, external rotation, flexion, extension, adduction, abduction, all these different movements, and you don't have to know what they are. But we know as instructors, okay, this is what a hip is designed to do. Human hips should all do this. Today we're going to focus on this movement or that movement and so on. We're going to put you in a position to bias that movement and take you to your end range of motion. Then, and this varies a little bit from instructor to instructor, so I'm going to speak a little bit more to how I run classes, but just know that this is in a very general sense what a lot of instructors will do, but maybe not everybody. So everyone's a little bit different, and that's totally okay, totally normal. So once we get you into that position, what I often do is go, okay, I'm now going to teach everybody in the class how to scan their hip to find their best stretch. So in Kinstretch, most instructors don't really believe in just putting you in, say, a pigeon pose to replicate the pigeon pose. We use the pigeon pose as a tool to then help people get into hip external rotation and scan their hip to find out which tissue in their hip is the tightest. So this is now kind of, at least for me, another layer of teaching you how to self-assess your own body, scan your own body, learn about it, find where you're most limited, and then plug away in that direction. So that means that if I have 15 people in a Kinstretch class, I might have 15 people all in slightly different variations of the pigeon pose, because they've all kind of scanned their own hip and tweaked the position, as I've showed them how to do in the class, to find where their hip was the tightest. And then they've set up in that position, and they're going to maintain that position while we do the work, because they know that's where their restricted tissue lies. So variability is built into the class, and that's one of the nice things that I like about Kinstretch, is that not only does it teach you how to self-assess your body and explore your body and find where you're limited and give you tools to start plugging away at it, it's also kind of baked into the class that everybody's going to be a little bit different, which I find, especially in a group setting, a lot of people come in and they're worried and they're like, well, I don't look like the instructor, or I might be a beginner and they might be advanced. It doesn't matter. That's one of the beautiful things about it. You don't have to sweat those things. You're gonna come in, everybody's gonna look a little bit different, and that's how it should be. That's what we want in Kinstretch. So it's actually encouraged. For the same reason, in my general Kinstretch classes at my studio right now, I've got high performing athletes and sprinters and many different people from different walks of life. And then I've got other clients in there that literally just need the Kinstretch class as an excuse and some form of accountability to get off of the couch and go do something active, because in their daily life right now, they don't currently have anything that's really physically active for them. So it's kind of their first step to actually building physical activity into their life. And right side by side, we've got my high performing sprinter, and then we've got my other client that just needs to get off the couch for a little while. And they're both getting results out of the class, or they're both seeing value. And honestly, they're both just enjoying the class, which is awesome. So after the stretching, once you've been in the stretch, you've found where your joint's the most limited, typically the next thing that we throw at you guys in the class is called pails and rails, which is progressive and regressive angular isometric loading. I know it sounds really sciencey. Don't worry about the name. Again, if you heard that and you're like, I don't know what that is, I wanna know what that is, I put together another whole video on that. It's in the description. It'll be in the series. Don't worry, I've got you. For now, just know that it means that we're gonna train the tissue that's currently really lengthened and that's impeding you from getting any further, and we're gonna load it in that position, and we're gonna convince your body to give you access to more range of motion. And as soon as it gives it to you, we're gonna start immediately training the other tissue that pulls you into that position to teach your body how to access it and actually use that position. So once you've done your stretching, we go right into working. We're working the stuff that's lengthening, we're working the stuff that's shortening, and we're trying to help you accumulate more ranges of motion. With that being said, sometimes you have people in the class that are hypermobile, in which case we change the class a little bit. So my hypermobile clients know when they're in my class. Often they've seen me, they know that they're hypermobile, I've already had this conversation with them, and then I show them how to change it. And by it, I mean change the exercise so that it meets their goals, which is they need to build more strength and control in their existing ranges of motion rather than trying to accumulate more ranges of motion. Because Kinstretch helps you check both boxes, this is why Kinstretch is really valuable and not just about stretching. So for them, they don't need more stretchiness, more bendiness, but they really need more of that strength and control component. So again, we tweak the classes a little bit depending on what's going on or what the context is, and that's where having an instructor can be really valuable. If you're in my online platform, you're gonna see specific videos speaking to hypermobility and how you can actually change the classes to, again, meet your body where it's at, which means that you probably don't want or need more flexibility in certain areas in your body, and instead you want to build more strength and control. And I show you how to kind of turn up the dials on those elements and maybe turn down the dials on the stretchy components. But all that to say, you've done your stretch, you've now tried to accumulate more range of motion if you need it, and then we all start backfilling whatever range of motion we have with strength and control together. And often we'll use things like, we call them lift-offs or passive range holds or eccentrics, all these other tools that you don't need to know the name of, but they're just other kind of exercises or movements or challenging activities that we give you after we've stretched, after we've done our pails and rails or our isometric loading, and then start working on filling that strength, or that range of motion, with strength and control. So I hope that gives you a general idea of what a Kinstretch class might look like and kind of what it is. So it really is a group class where we're gonna put you in the class, we're gonna teach you how to assess your joints, you're gonna learn to explore your joints, you're gonna find things, we're gonna give you tools to start actually using to address what you find when you're assessing it. We'll show you how to stretch, we'll show you how to gain more range of motion if you need it, and we'll show you how to backfill the ranges of motion either that you already have or that you gain in the class with strength, body control, resiliency, and really just try to turn you into a machine in those positions where it's like, not only can I move my body in these positions, but I've got good control and good strength here, and I own these ranges of motion, which is a term that you'll often hear a lot in Kinstretch. Now, I want to make it very clear, I did not develop Kinstretch. So Kinstretch was created by Dr. Andrea Spina, who also created functional range systems. And Kinstretch is one of the certifications you can go get within functional range systems that people like myself have gotten. And then we use that certification or what we've learned and we teach it to you guys in a class format. So before I wrap up this very caffeinated breakdown of what Kinstretch is and finally go finish my coffee, I just want to say if I've missed anything in this video, if you have any other questions, please let me know. Just put it in the comments below. Not only will I answer it for you, but I'll also consider making a video speaking to your question. The whole purpose of this video series is to answer any questions that you might have. So if I missed anything, I would love to know. Also, I'm going to link all those other videos I discussed earlier in the description down below for you, and I'll put them all in a video series for easy access as well. The last thing that I'll say is that while I'm very knowledgeable in Kinstretch and physiotherapy and fitness and all these other things, I am not knowledgeable at social media, and I do not know how to get these videos out into the hands of people that need them. So if you want to help me with that, please, if you found this video helpful, hit like, throw me a message down below, subscribe, turn on notifications, any of those things. It really, truly helps me help other people, and I appreciate it beyond measure. Thank you for being here. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and if you're having coffee, cheers.